Welcome to lesson number 1. Welcome to Careerist. Today, we're going to talk about quality assurance, about software testing, about career and job market overview. We're going to talk about how you can get yourself an IT job after just 1 month of studying the profession and between 1 to 4 months of job search. Usually it's between 2 to 3 month job search, and the salaries for that profession are between 70 to 100K or 35 to $50 per hour. This job is very simple, very straightforward. You don't need to have any technical background. You don't need to have any programming skills. You don't need to have a computer science degree. Everyone can do it. It's very simple. Today we're going to show you the industry, the salaries. We're going to talk about what we actually do at work. And of course, we're going to leave time for questions in the end. We would love to answer all of your questions. Just please bear with us, listen carefully to the lesson. Most of the questions are going to be answered during the lesson. In case you're still going to have questions in the end, we would love to answer those. Okay, awesome. So, long story short, QA stands for quality assurance. Our job is to make sure that everything looks, works, and feels good according to the requirements, according to what was expected, according to the design. For example, if you're taking a mobile application, for example, a dating app or a navigation app or any other app that you're using on your phone, or any website like Google or careers.com, someone designed it, someone created this website or this application, usually the developers developed the application, and we as QA engineers or QA testers, we just test the application to make sure that it looks, works, and feels good. How we know? We compare it to what was designed, what was expected. We compare it to the requirements. Whenever we see a mismatch between actual and expected behavior, whenever we see that something is wrong, something is strange, something is weird, something doesn't look good, something doesn't work good, we report those issues to the developers. Developer fix the problems, send back to us, and we just verify that those issues were fixed on the new version. So we don't fix problems, we just report problems. That's our job. So before we move forward, I just want to make sure if this course is for you. So you need to have a work authorization in the United States. You can be a US citizen, or you can be a green card holder, or you can have any kind of work authorization that allows you to work anywhere, anytime, without limitations and without sponsorship. For example, EAD asylum. Also, you need to speak English. People should understand you. You should understand others. You should not have any communication problems with your team or with your manager. You don't need to have a PhD in English literature, okay? You can keep an accent, it's not a problem. As long as people can understand you and you can understand others and you can write and you can read, you're gonna be all right. Of course, you want to start a career in tech because that's why we are here for. And you are ready to accept a 70 to 100K job offer. There's always exceptions. So sometimes some people, for example, will get 65K and some people will get 115K. But most of you guys gonna get 70 to 100K. The reason we wrote 65 to 100K So you keep in mind that sometimes you're going to have exceptions. Someone will get 65, someone will get 110, 115. We're going to talk about the salaries in details very soon. You are looking to get a job within the next 2 to 4 months, because that's what you're going to get. It's going to be 1 month educational part, additional 2 weeks of on-hand experience with an internship that you're going to practice your skills. You're going to practice what you learned. We're going to talk about what exactly we're going to do at our internships and in details. So after those 6 weeks, you will start the job search if you're just following the instructions, and we're going to talk about the instructions very soon. It's going to be very straightforward. And between 1 to 4 months, going to take the job search, usually 2 to 3 months, sometimes even 4. So that's what you need to keep in mind. What you don't need any technical background. You don't need any computer science degree. You don't need to learn any programming languages, because you just don't need it in manual testing. And we're going to show you why. And we're going to show you exactly what we do at work. And you don't need to buy any equipment. As long as you can watch the lesson, listen to the lesson, you're going to be all right. Of course, it's good if you have a mobile phone. I'm sure that all of you have mobile phones. And if you have a laptop or a computer, that's going to be great. Now, let's talk about the average salaries. By the way, guys, this is a live video, and I'm going to answer the questions that you're going to have. I just recommend you to focus on the lesson, listen carefully. The questions that you're still going to have at the end of the lesson, I would love to answer. Most of the questions, trust me, most of the questions going to be answered during this lesson. So just listen carefully, and in case that you're still going to have questions, I will answer those. So according to Glassdoor.com, which is probably the best website to see average salaries around US for different professions, the annual salary for QA job of software QA engineer basically is between 65 to 100K. But if you see the average salary, it was $98,000. Last time I checked, yesterday it was 99, almost 100K average salary, a little bit less. Now, what we learned from that number, we learned two things. First of all, huge demand for QA people. Just 5 months ago, it was around $68,000. So it jumped because there is a high demand for QA engineers, for testers, and that's why we see increase in the salaries. By the way, whenever the average was $68,000, our graduates didn't really care about it, because they got 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100K. Why? Because they sound much better than the average. We prepare them much better than the average. They impress the hiring managers. They have a better resume, better LinkedIn. They know how to answer interview questions much better. So they didn't really care about the average salary. But it's definitely an indicator about the industry. Another thing that we learn from that number is that the average software QA engineer in the United States doesn't know any automation, doesn't know any programming, doesn't know any programming languages like Python or Java. How we know that? Because if you ask anyone who knows programming languages, you will find out that they will not even talk to anyone for less than 110, 115K. But you see that the average software QA engineer in the United States makes around $98,000, $99,000, which is less than 110, less than 115. 80% of the jobs that we're going to be looking for, going to ask in the job description for more experience, for more knowledge, for more tools, for automation, for programming languages, for tools. But 65% of those eventually will hire manual QA like you. How we know that? Because every day we have graduates getting jobs. Just for the past 3 months, we had more than 150 graduates that got jobs already in 30 states. So we definitely know what we're talking about. And basically, whenever the company is offering 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and 100K, they will not find someone with automation, someone with programming skills to do that job in most of the cases. That's why eventually those jobs and those companies will hire you. That's how it works. I just wanted to show you a small overview of the salary. Now, the benefits of QA jobs include, it's very easy to learn, very straightforward. I will show you exactly what we do at work very soon. You don't need any programming skills. The compensation is great, 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour is awesome. There's lots of QA jobs around the US, and I will show you soon exactly where we can see that. It's actually like 2 times more than ever before, sometimes 3 times more. And you can work remotely. Since the COVID situation, most IT, most QA jobs are remote. Most of our graduates are working remote right now. And even when companies going to get back to offices, many companies will stay working, will remain working remotely, which is awesome. And our graduates definitely enjoy it. You don't need any computer science degree, and it's one of the happiest jobs in the US, according to Forbes magazine. You can Google it, Forbes Happiest Jobs QA. And it's, of course, a shortcut into the IT world. You're also going to have a lot of opportunities for career growth. Whenever we talk about career growth, basically you have 3 options. One option is just to stay doing manual testing, manual QA for 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour. Or in future, if you want to move forward and make more, you can go into 2 directions. One is to become more technical, to learn programming language like Python, for example, and to learn automation, which will allow you to make 110 to 170K. But the problem with automation is that it's much more technical, it's much more sophisticated, much more complicated. It's not for everyone. And 80% of the people are going to have challenges learning it or doing it. I usually recommend to explore automation after you get your first QA job. After you got 70 to 100K job, of course, I would recommend to explore and try to learn automation. We can help you with that as well. But before you got your first manual QA job, and before you start making 70 to 100K, I recommend to stay away from automation like from fire, because it will just distract you. Now, you cannot learn automation in 1 month. It will take at least 4 months, and it's going to be sophisticated, complicated. It's not going to be for everyone, but if you're going to be dedicated, motivated, and focused, I'm sure that you'll be able to learn it. So definitely try to explore automation after you get your first QA job. The other path that you can take if you want a career growth is to go to leadership, to become a QA lead or a QA manager. I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's for people with great communication skills and leadership skills. It will require, more responsibilities, more meetings, probably more headache, but with more responsibilities, you usually get also more benefits and a better salary. So that's the 2 career growth opportunities that you're going to have during your career in QA. Now, this job actually can be called in different many names. For example, when I was working at Apple, my title was Software QA Engineer of Second Degree. When I was working at Intel, it was Test Engineer. When I was working at Uyala, it was Senior Functional Tester. when I worked at Toyota Scion, it was software QA engineer. Before it was QA tester. And you know what? I was doing pretty much the same kind of job everywhere. And I will show you what kind of job very soon. But I'm just trying to explain you that you have different names for exactly same kind of job. It could be QA engineer, software test engineer, software QA engineer, QA analyst, QA tester, manual tester, functional tester, UI tester, test analyst, quality engineer. Different names in most of the cases that are going to talk about exactly same type of job. All right. And of course, I'm going to share with you the link to the Forbes article where you will see that QA is the second happiest job in the United States. I will share it with you very soon. Now, our course by Careerist, you get intensive practical training from industry experts. When I say industry experts, I actually mean that our instructors, our teachers, our QA managers, our QA leads, software development engineers in test, senior QA engineers, and software QA engineers from the best companies in the world, like Google, Apple, Facebook, Intel, and many others that many other best companies in the world that come here to share their experience and their knowledge with you guys to help you get your maximum rate in minimum time and to make sure that you will avoid the mistakes that we used to have during the beginning of our career. And of course, the mistakes that most people are doing in this industry. That's why we are here for. You also going to get internship with references that will really help your resume because nobody really wants to hire anyone without experience. So we will make sure that after the 4 weeks of the educational part, you will jump into the into the internship where you're going to practice what you learned. You're going to write bug reports, execute test cases, work in a team on a project with other teammates, with QA lead, with different platforms, different devices. You will do mobile testing, web testing, use different tools. You will know about your project, about your team, about the company, all you need to know for your interview, and all you need to be in order to be very confident during the interview to get the job. Of course, once you join the internship, you can be part of that internship until you get the job. Minimum, you need to be there at least for 2 weeks, at least for 2 hours a day. You can choose the days, you can choose the hours, but you also can be part of the internship until you get the job. So every month of your job search, your experience will grow, and of course, you're going to get references for that experience. Now, once you have experience, companies want to talk to you. Companies want to interview you, and eventually companies want to hire you. We're also going to help you with job applications. We're going to apply for jobs for you. We have JAS, job application services, which is basically part of the program where we apply for jobs for you, because we noticed that 80% of the people very lazy. They don't apply for jobs. That's why we decided that we're going to apply for you, and that's why we see amazing results. We apply up to 40 positions per day, which will get you much more calls, much more interviews, and of course, job offers. But you need to be prepared for the interview before you start the job search. Also, you're going to have convenient online sessions. Basically, the lesson's going to be in Zoom. You'll be able to watch it live, or you can watch the video recordings anytime that works best for you. Also, you're going to have one-on-one calls with the mentors after you're going to graduate. Each and every one of you going to get his personal mentor, which will work with you one-on-one to make sure that you're following instructions, that you prepare for the interview, that you sound okay, sound good. Once we make sure that, we help you with the resume, with LinkedIn, with the support, with the job applications, with the instructions, and all you need in order to start your job search. And of course, if you're just going to follow the instructions, you will see the job in between 1 to 4 months. And of course, the resume, the LinkedIn, the job interview preparation, that's going to be part of it, of course. So our guarantee, you pass in case that you choose the income share agreement that I'm going to talk about very soon in details. You pass nothing but a small commitment fee until you get hired, and I will talk about the details of the different options very, very soon. By the way, if you choose the income share agreement that we also call ISA, you won't owe us anything if you don't get a job in tech or make less than $25 per hour. But I'm going to talk about it very soon in details. Now, let me introduce you our instructors. We have Olga Chabanova, experienced QA engineer with a lot of experience. We have Lana Levinson, senior software developer in test with over 8 years of experience in QA. We have Patrick Sibentel, software QA engineer at Facebook and Intel. Actually, Patrick now works at Google. Myself, Max Lobachanski, with over 7 years of experience. Actually, it's already more than 8 years of experience in QA at Apple, Intel, and other Silicon Valley companies. We have Yuri Sokolov that you're going to meet today, who's a QA lead at Google in Mountain View, California, with over 8 years of experience in quality assurance. He's going to take the second part of the lesson. You're going to meet him very soon. We also have Alex Hvastovich with over 7 years experience in the QA manager at United Power and other Silicon Valley companies. We have Vitaly Yerokhin with more than 7 years of experience in different companies, including Indeed. We have Ignacio Britos, QA manager with over 14 years of experience working at Eventbrite and many other companies. Nick Karadze with over 6 years of experience, and Hezron Padlan, who's a QA lead with over 12 years of experience in QA. So we also have graduates that already work in more than 250 companies across 30 different states in the United States. And I'm going to show you our success map at the end, and we'll show you exactly where our graduates are working and how much they're making. They're working in the best companies in the world: Uber, Facebook, Intel, Apple, Samsung, Chase, Nike, Walt Disney, Visa, just name it. Any big company that you probably heard about, we have graduates working there. We're very proud of everyone involved. And of course, you are welcome to see the success stories of our graduates that I'm going to share with you very soon. And as well, you will be able to witness and see dozens and dozens of more testimonials. I guarantee you that once you graduate the program, we will give you access to our graduates community, where you're going to have more and more and more testimonials of our graduates that we pretty much post every week. They just don't really always go to the public page. It's something that we keep in the community because some students don't really want to put it public. They just want to share it with their fellow graduates. And I guarantee you that you will get access to it in order to watch those success stories as well. This is the map of our success. We have already 30 states. The rule across the whole country is that you can make between 70 to 80K, 35 to 40 per hour, anywhere you located in the United States. But in the big cities that I'm going to name now, you will be able to make up to 100K, up to 50 per hour. For example, New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, LA, you can make up to 100K, up to 50 per hour. You're always going to have exceptions. For example, Boston, Massachusetts, we have graduates there making 80 to 90K. Same in San Diego, 80 to 90K, 70 to 90K. In Miami, most people making between 70 to 80K. But just recently, we had graduates making 90, 100, and 115K. Cincinnati, someone just got 115K in Cincinnati. So you're always going to have exceptions. But the overall rule is what I told you just now, 70 to 80K everywhere and up to 100K in the biggest cities like New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, LA. Now, it doesn't matter where you live because now you can get jobs remotely. So you can be, for example, in Texas and get a job in New York or in San Francisco or in LA or vice versa. Okay? Awesome. Now, what we actually do at work, I definitely want to show you examples of what kind of job we are doing. So let me share my screen with you, and I would love to show you what kind of job we are actually doing. So let's just go to a website, okay? It's example of e-commerce website like, I don't know, Amazon or any website where you can go and buy clothes, edit them to the cart, okay? So first of all, we test functionality. We test how things work. That's the most important part. So basically, we click buttons and make sure that they take us to the right places, to the right links. For example, we click button and make sure that it takes the right place, or we click a drop-down menu and make sure that it drops down, or we install application and we click it to launch it and it doesn't work. For example, it crashes. This is functional issues. So for example, you see the shop now button, I click it, nothing happens. This is a functional issue. Another issue is here. You see that the web page is not secure. For example, this page is secure. You see the lock over here, it's secure. But this one is not. It's a problem, a security problem for the customer. It's a security issue, okay? But what we focus on is functionality, if it works or not. So this button is not working. That's the highest priority issues that we test first. First, we test how things work. And after we test how things work, we move to how things look. Another example of drop-down menu, for example, we click this button, boom, you see, it brings us the drop-down menu. If it was not working, it would be a functional issue that we would report. Now, for how things work, we call it UI testing, also known as GUI, graphic user interface testing. UI stands for user interface, and basically we test how things look. For example, you see that model over here, her face is covered or cut off or truncated. It definitely looks weird and strange and bad. We don't really know if it's supposed to be like that or not. We can always compare and double check with how it's supposed to look in the design document. Usually it's a PDF that just shows us the picture how the website should look like. So we can definitely compare, but because we don't have it right now, we would definitely write a bug report for that because it looks strange. It looks weird. Maximum, they will close it and tell you, okay, it's supposed to be like that. But I have a feeling that it's actually a problem that we need to report anyway. Another example, besides being cut off or truncated, is whenever something is overlapping. For example, you see the model on the right, real man's fashion. Now notice on the N letter in the word fashion. Once I bring the mouse, once I hover the mouse to this model, you see it moves. He moves. And it covers the N letter in the word fashion. So this we call overlapping. Whenever an element hides another element, it could be another letter, it could be text, it could be a button, it could be something like that. You see a text over a button or a text over a text. I'm sure that you saw it before. Okay, that's we call overlapping. Another issue that we encounter is whenever something is misaligned. For example, you see the check boxes over here. They're supposed to be on the same line. They're supposed to be aligned, but they're not. So it's an issue that we report. You see those fields over here? They are misaligned, okay? They're supposed to be aligned to each other. Otherwise, it looks strange. You see here, this one is misaligned to this one, or this one is misaligned to this one, okay? That kind of issues. Another thing we test is consistency. So for example, if we hover the mouse over here, you see that the background changes to blue while keeping the same image, right? The same picture. When we go to the next picture, also it's consistent. You see, also changes to the background to kind of blue, keeping the same picture. But once we go to the next picture, boom, you see it changed the image. The image is not the same image. It's changed. It's inconsistent behavior that we definitely want to report. Okay? You got the idea, right? Awesome. Now, let me show you example of a bug. So for example, it could be grammar mistake, it could be spelling mistake. Let's just assume that you have design document, the requirements that tell you how the text should be, and it tells you that it's supposed to be on this website 2019 models. Toyota Yaris, Toyota FRS 86, this one, and Corolla hatchback 2019. But hey, it says 2020. Okay, so it's just an example of an issue that we find. So someone made a spelling mistake or wrote something incorrectly, we catch it. And once we see that, we report it. So this 2020 Corolla hatchback should be 2019 Corolla hatchback. What we do is we need to report it. First of all, we take a screenshot of the issue. So on MacBook, you just do Command-Shift-4. You choose the area that you want to screenshot. You select it with your mouse, and boom, it saves the image on desktop. Now you can attach it to your bug report. It will help the developer see the problem faster and will make his life easier. Now, if you want to take the screenshot of the whole screen on your MacBook, you just click Command-Shift-3. If you're using Windows, you can go to the Start menu, search for Snipping Tool, and you can do exactly the same, saving the screenshot. If you don't know how to do it, don't worry. We will teach you that in 5 minutes. It's very simple, very, very straightforward. Now, let me show you how we actually write those bug reports. So we go to a bug tracking system called Jira, and all you need to know right now is just this button called Create. Once we click this button, we have a form, which is a bug report. First of all, we choose the project name, which is just demo for our practice. Issue type is bug report, because that's what we write as QA people. We write bug reports. Then we have the title, which should be a summary, which is basically the title. It should be short and informative. It should show everyone what and where is the problem. Just to save some time, I already filled out this form for you. Just to remind you, I will show you one more time. So the issue is that 2020 Corolla hatchback should be 2019 Corolla hatchback. So we write homepage 2020 Corolla hatchback model should be 2019. Very straightforward. Then we have description with steps to reproduce actual and expected behavior. So for example, go to this link to observe 2020 Corolla hatchback, actual 2020 Corolla, expected 2019 Corolla. You don't need to have PhD in English literature in order to write it. I promise you that. Then you have priority, how important this problem to the company. Now, let's assume that Toyota has millions and millions of clients, 100 millions of sales or billions, and it will affect a lot of people. So we're definitely gonna take it very seriously, and we're gonna make it a high or highest priority issue, because it could affect a lot of our customers. So let's just choose high. Of course, after a few days or a few weeks at work, you will know the priorities of the company, what's important, what's not important. Some companies care about certain things, some companies don't care about certain things. You will find it out during the first weeks at work. Then we have environment, basically where the issue was reproducible. This is just examples. It could be your MacBook with the browser version, with the Mac version. It could be Windows with the browser version, the name of your laptop. It could be an Android device. It could be iPhone with the version of the Android or the iOS or the build number or the browser number if you're testing a mobile web page. Okay, it's just an example of how we write the environment. Then we have the attachment where we can put the screenshot or video recording if necessary. So for example, we took a screenshot of the issue, remember that? So I just click the browse button and I add the screenshot that I just created, and boom, it's uploaded and it's part of the bug. And final is assignee, who gonna take care of the problem. Usually you work with 1, 2, 3 people, usually 2, 3 people that are developers, and they are fixing the issue. So for example, one is fixing the front end, one is fixing the back end, someone is testing the mobile devices, someone is testing the desktop devices. You would definitely know who gonna take care of that after the first days or weeks at work, and you will just assign the issues to that person. For example, just let's choose my name. Long story short, project name, issue type, which is bug report, title, which should be short and informative, should show everyone what and where is the problem, the description with steps to reproduce actual and expected behavior, priority, environment, where the issue took place, attachments with screenshot or video recordings, if necessary. Also, we add here log files that we're going to talk about during the lessons, and assignee, who going to take care of the problem. Then we click the create button, and boom, we have our first bug report. Ladies and gentlemen, and all the rest, please, here's the title, here's the description, that's the environment, assignee, reporter. This is the screenshot. Remember I took it? Yeah, you see now it looks clear. What's the problem? And you can leave comments. Now, guys, was that complicated? I don't think so. And guess what? That's what companies are paying 70 to 100K, $35 to $50 per hour. It's not something new. It's been around for probably 20 years. And it's not a joke. That's our job. That's what we do at work. Now, just to show you, this is the Glassdoor software QA engineer average is around $99,000. This is dice.com, where you can just see how many jobs there are across the country. For example, in Texas, Austin, more than 2,600 positions in QA. Now, it doesn't mean that all of the positions are going to fit you 100%, but it definitely shows an indicator of a great demand. During the great times, I remember seeing 800 positions, 1,200 positions. Now I see 2 times and sometimes 3 times more. For example, we can go to any big city, and I'm just guessing now. Let's go to Chicago. Boom, you have almost 2,800 plus positions. Let's go to New York. In any big, huge city, you will see a lot of jobs, more than 3,200 positions in New York. LA, probably also around 3,000 positions, almost 2,700 positions. You can go to Seattle. Of course, you will have a lot of jobs in California, more than 2,600 positions in Seattle. In the, just go to any big city, you will see a lot of positions. Just wanted to show you that. Also, I want you to watch this article about 9 reasons why manual testing will always be in demand. Article from Forbes, highly recommended to read. And I just wanted to show you that QA is one of the happiest jobs in the United States. Actually, this article brought me into this industry, and I'm very happy about it. Awesome. I also highly recommend you to watch our success stories. Going to careers.com/success, you will be able to read more about our graduates, about their stories, and watch some videos of our testimonials, and better understand who we are, what we do. Our graduates are working already in 30 states, and we have more and new states and new cities pretty much every few months. You also welcome to read more about our reviews, and we would love to help you with your career in tech. So let me get back to our presentation, and I would love to answer your questions very, very soon. So long story short, you have 4 weeks of online program. It's going to be 2 hours per day from Sunday to Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, which is 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. If you cannot watch it live, you can always watch the video recording that's going to be sent to you after the lesson. After that, if you follow the instructions, basically if you watch the lessons and just following the instructions, you will be able to join the internship. You will be able to start practicing what you learned, and it's going to be minimum 2 hours per day, minimum for 2 weeks. You are welcome to be part of the internship until you get the job. During the internship, you will repeat the interview questions that we're going to prepare you for. You will work one-on-one with your mentor to make sure that you're following the instructions, that you sound good, that you prepared well. And once you make sure that, we help you with the resume, with the LinkedIn, with the job application, with the instructions, with the support, and you will start your job search, which going to lead you to a job offer after 1, 2, 3, 4 months. Usually it's 2 to 3 months. Just follow the instructions. And the job application services basically is when we apply for jobs for you. You can apply for jobs by yourself, of course. We're going to teach you where, we're going to teach you how, but also to help you get more calls, more interviews, more offers, we'll offer you job application services where we apply for jobs for you. You don't need to pay any extra. It's part of the service after you graduate. You will use that service to get more calls, more interviews, and more offers, where we basically going to apply for jobs for you up to 40 positions per day. And of course, you will see the results of that very, very soon. Now let's talk about the prices. I just wanted to show you who we are, what we do about the industry before we go and talk about the prices. So now we have a few different options. One option is to pay upfront $2,499, where you just pay one-time payment of the upfront, and that's it. You don't need to pay anything else. That's the best option. That's the best value. That's the best deal and the best investment that you can make. In case that you cannot pay the upfront, or you're not sure that you're going to follow instructions for some reason, you have the option to take our income share agreement, which called ISA, where you just pay $899 registration fee, after which you don't need to pay anything else until you get the job in IT. Once you get the job in IT, you pay us 15% out of your salary before taxes every month at the end of the month for the first 24 months. As long as you work. If you stopped working or paused working or left the job or lost the job, you stop paying until you get your next IT job to pay the remaining amount of the months. Now, the ISA option, you're going to pay more than the upfront option. That's why I always recommend you to choose the upfront. It will save you money. It will be the best value for you. But again, some people prefer upfront. Some people prefer income share agreement. It's your option to choose whatever you prefer. The income share agreement, eventually, if you pay only after getting the job, will be more than the upfront. Now, in case that you choose the income share agreement, you can also get our automation course after you got your manual QA job. You will be able to come back to us and learn automation. All you need to do is just to add additional 3 months to your contract. Instead of 24 months, for example, it will become 27 months. You don't need to do it now. You will add the 3 months once you join automation in the future. For example, in 3-4 months after getting the first manual QA job. In case that you want to join automation before getting the job in QA, you have this option. You can start learning automation after 4 months of active job search in manual QA. But again, I recommend only to join automation after you got your manual QA job. In case that you want to get both manual QA and automation and pay upfront, you can choose the option to pay $5,999. Then you get both manual QA and automation that you can join after 4 months of active job search or after getting your first manual QA job, which is what I recommend. So guys, don't forget the income share agreement, the registration fee or the upfront are due by noon tomorrow Pacific time. So all you need to do is just email advisors@careerist.com and choose the option that works best for you. You can just click the contract and invoice button that appeared in front of you, click get, fill out the form, basically choose the option that works best for you, and it will be sent to you. Also, we're going to share with you a link for a survey because we always try to become better and better, do our best to do that, and we would love to hear your feedback. I also promise you that I'm going to join at the end of today's lesson to answer all of your questions. I know that you have a lot of questions. Just listen carefully to the lesson. Most of them are going to be answered very soon. If not, in the end, I will answer each and every one of those questions. Okay, guys? Awesome. So I'm going to see you very soon. Don't worry, I'm going to be here. I'm going to answer all of the questions. And remember, I introduced you to Yuri, our lead at Google in Mountain View, California. He going to take the class from here, and I will join you guys at the end of his part to answer all of your questions. Yuri, the class is all yours.
Welcome, guys. Welcome to this class. I'm so happy to see so many of you here. So today we'll talk about quality assurance engineering, why it's important to start getting into the IT as early as possible. So first, some of you may know me. We met during the webinar. Some of you may not know me, so let me introduce myself. My name is Yuri Sokolov, and I've been working in quality assurance for quite some time now. I started working as a QA engineer about 8 years ago. And I basically started just like you. I did not have any prior experience working in QA. My degree was in absolutely different field, and my degree was actually in design. So I did not have any prior knowledge or education in the IT. And I was able to go through summer boot camp, and I realized how easy it was to learn QA, because it's not a complicated task, it's not a complicated job, it's pretty easy to do. So today we will start with some interesting material. Awesome. So let's talk about what is software quality assurance. Software quality assurance, or SQA, is a process of monitoring software engineering procedures and methods to ensure quality. So guys, think about quality assurance as an umbrella term that exists in any form of development, in any form of production. It can, let's say you're working for the company that develops shoes or develops furniture or develops electronics. There is a design stage where they design the product, right? They create the blueprint of, let's say, a chair or a sneaker or a shoe they want to build. Then someone basically builds it, right? They turn the blueprint into the prototype. And then before getting it into the massive production, someone needs to test it to make sure that the product we developed satisfies our criteria, works as expected, doesn't break, fits well, and to basically test it. So in software development, QA engineers, testers, we do absolutely the same thing. We test the product. First, designers, architects, they come together and they create the business documentation. Like, why do we need to build this software? Why do we need to build this mobile application or this website? Then they take it and they go to developers. Developers then code it. And then developers basically go to QA engineers and they say, test our product. Spend some time, go through the cycles of testing and test the product that we built. And after the quality assurance engineers, after the testers sign off on the testing process, only then the software goes into production or goes to users. That's what we call it. I'll tell you right away that it is not possible to create software without issues. The reason for it, it's very simple. It's because at any given moment, the company constantly modifies the application. So let's say the Facebook, Instagram, any other application. Every day, hundreds and hundreds of developers are working on changing the code. They change the code for the reason. It can be to add new functionalities. It can be to fix other problems. But there's an ongoing change to the code every second. The bigger the company, the more changes they make. So when we get so many different changes happening to our application, the chance of introducing the problem, the chance of introducing a bug is really, really high. That's why at any given moment, your software that you're testing or any other software will have issues. So the point and the main goal of quality assurance engineering is not to catch all the bugs, is not to catch all the problems. The point is to catch all the critical bugs, all the major problems, the ones that can significantly affect our users and potentially cost the company millions or $100 million in damages. So that's why QA engineers are paid so well. It's easier to have a QA department and pay them, 90, 100K per person, rather than to risk losing tens and millions of dollars just because someone didn't caught that bug, right? So the bug was missed. Imagine if, let's say, we're talking about e-commerce websites like Amazon or, I don't know, Apple, Google. They received significant amount of revenue from purchases, from services, from subscriptions, this and that. So it's a really, really big amount of money. So they would rather pay QA engineers a fraction of it, but to not risk losing billions of dollars in the valuation just because someone missed the bug. I hope that makes sense. So what software quality assurance engineers do? We overview and participate in the entire software development process, which includes the requirement definitions, software design, development, testing, release deployment, and maintenance. Mostly, of course, we participate in the testing phase, where we actually have to test the software before signing off and giving our pass, saying that it looks good, we can somehow release it to our customers. So let's talk about software testing and manual testing. Software testing identifies the correctness, completeness, and quality of software. So now let's talk about the physical part of quality assurance. We already understood that quality assurance is a huge umbrella term for making sure that quality along the whole software development cycle maintained, right? So now let's talk about the testing part. So testing identifies correctness, completeness, and quality of software. Software testing investigation gives stakeholders important information about the quality of the piece of software or a service under test. Software testing provides an objective and independent view of the software, which allows the business to appreciate and understand the risks of implementing the new or changed software. So unlike quality assurance or SQA, which is sort of like a bigger term, right? The testing, it's a physical approach, a physical part where QA engineer comes in and checks the software in front of them. Does it satisfy the requirements? Does it work like it's supposed to, right? So it's a physical part of comparing the actual result, like what we see in front of us, to what it's in requirements. We call it an expected result. So we expect this button to be blue, right? According to our documentation. So when we physically check the button, it should be blue. Otherwise, it's a bug. It's a mismatch between expected and actual. So let's summarize. What is the difference between quality assurance and testing? So quality assurance is preventative. It analyzes the whole process of software development, starting with the requirements. Testing involves, basically means verifying software to detect the differences between actual and required behavior, inconsistencies. Now, let's talk about manual testing. It's very important, so please pay attention. And as usual, feel free to ask any questions. We'll be happy to answer all of them. So manual testing, it's the process of finding the defects or bugs in an application. In manual testing, testers act as end users. So for manual tester, we don't need to know the code, right? We don't care about the code. We don't need to know scripting. We don't need to know the code. We act as an end users, meaning like we do pretty much the same thing that the rest of the users will do, but early on during the testing phase while knowing the requirements. When user gets the software, right, they don't know what this button should do or should not do. They don't know if this button is the right color or wrong color. So that's why we need to check it beforehand. So tester acts as an end user and verifies that all the features of the application are working correctly. Any differences between the actual and desired results are treated as issues, as defects and bugs. So what should manual quality assurance engineer do in case they find the bug, in case they observe this mismatch? We need to create a bug report or bug ticket or document the bug. You can call it any way you like. The fact is we need to somehow document this problem because we need then to send it to the developers. Developers will fix it. Then what happens? So developer goes, looks at the ticket. They, basically try to reproduce it. If they reproduce it, they try to fix it. After they fix it, so every time developer fixes the issue, they need to change the code also because the issue was mostly somewhere in the code. We manual QA engineers don't care about the code. It's not our job to care, right? It's our job to test, to look at the final result. Developers should care about the code quality. It's their job to make sure there are no bugs. Our job is to do the acceptance testing to verify that whatever we test, whatever the developers gave us works as expected. So let's say developers change the code, they fix the bug, then they send this bug report, they send this ticket back to us, reassign it back to us. And our job is to retest and make sure that the issue was fixed. So we basically do another round of testing to make sure that the issue is actually fixed. Okay? If it's fixed, we close the ticket, we say good job, move on. If it's not fixed, if we still can see the problem, maybe we see it under different conditions, but we can still reproduce the issue. We send it back to developers. And this cycle goes on and on until we know that the issue was no longer there. Okay? So the goal of software testing is to ensure that the application has no major defects and as few minor bugs as possible. Guys, that's important. Again, I will stress again that our job is not to catch all the bugs, not to find all of them. No, we don't care about all the bugs. There's always going to be bugs. Our job is to catch critical bugs, the most severe problems with our application. So our main goal is that the software should be working to a sufficiently high standard so that it's acceptable to the customers. Let's talk about why do we need manual testing. I've read few of your comments and a lot of the questions about, well, why do we need manual testing if the automation is the new thing? It's like automation pays better, everyone wants automation. I'll tell you a bit more about my experience. I started as a manual QA and I worked in manual QA for I think 5 years. For 5 years I was a manual QA. Then I switched to automation and I worked for automation for a few years longer. So I've seen both of those, processes. And I can tell you that automation in this particular moment is completely, completely cannot substitute manual testing. In fact, it's super slow, it's too expensive, it's hard to maintain. Human intervention is by far fastest way to catch any problem in the shortest amount possible. Why? Because we are people. We can easily, we have common sense and logic and skills. We can easily look at the picture and within a matter of seconds realize what may be wrong with it, right? In order to teach the computer to do so, it takes hours, months, years. So there is no better testing mechanism than human judgment for now at this point. Human intervention needs to be ongoing. A lot of the companies these days, they want faster development cycles. They cannot wait for weeks or months for automation team to automate all the testing because it literally takes that long, maybe even longer. They need someone to come in, spend 2 hours, read the requirements, spend another day or maybe 2 days testing and tell if it's good or not. So nobody can do it except for a human being, except for the person, right? That's why manual testing is super important. It is critical for any company who wants to develop and release software quickly. Automated testing is an amazing tool and it has its own place, but it's too expensive. It's too time consuming. Okay? Let's talk again when manual testers are needed and why it's important to, first of all, learn manual QA. So please take a look at the screen. Manual testers are literally involved in any given point of time pretty much throughout the whole software development life cycle and throughout the whole process of creating software. That makes them one of the most valuable and informed people in the company. Because if you take a look at the software engineers, they don't really care about anything except the code they write. So they may not know how application behaves. They may not know how the whole system works. Most likely they don't, unless they worked in a company for like 5 to 10 years. But it's pretty common for software developers to, if they don't know how something works, they go to QA department and they may ask questions like, well, you guys test the application together. You guys test the system. So you know way more than developers, like how different parts of the application interact, how certain flows working. That's why manual QA engineers are important part of any company because they're informed about the whole flow of the application, how everything works, how all the processes and systems work within one product. During the requirement analysis, manual QA testers may be needed. Test planning. That's another part where manual QA comes in, and they can give certain thoughts about how to approach testing certain product, or how long will it take, right? How long will it take to test certain change, and so on. Then we create test cases. Sometimes, mostly when you will join the company, they will already have a pretty massive list of test cases created. So in some cases, we may go and update the test case. For example, if the behavior was changed, if the extra button was edited on the screen, the test case will have to be changed. Test case, it's a list. It's basically, it's a short instruction on how to test something. For example, we need to verify that the color of this logo is blue, yeah? So we will write the test case for it. Do not forget to check, right? Because every time we can also forget something. We need to have some sort of a structure of things we need to check. So that's what manual QA engineers do as well. Of course, step number 4, we test. We physically test. We can use test cases. We can use our own explorative abilities, our common sense, ad hoc testing, many different approaches we can use without even following the documentation. It's as simple as looking at the image and trying to figure out if something is wrong with it or not. It's pretty intuitive, okay? If we see that something is wrong with it, what we do next, we report bugs. We create the ticket, we create the issue, we report the problem. After it's fixed, we verify that the issue was actually fixed. So in front of you is a comparison between manual and automated testing. I honestly don't want to spend too much time on it because it's not that important at this point. From my own experience, all I can tell you is manual testers are those who will write test cases, those who will first be testing the product, right? Those who will be, you can call them first responders when it comes to testing new functionality or new feature or verifying the issue. Then, let's say manual QA engineers can pass certain test cases to automated team, to automation QA engineers. But guess what? Automation QA engineers don't really test. They are not QA engineers. In fact, they may not even know methodology of quality assurance. All they have to do is to transfer the test case from manual into the code. So it will be basically scripted. And then the machine can run the same test case automatically over and over again. So there are certain pros of automated testing compared to manual testing. Faster test cycles. Yeah, if you want to run same test case 10 times a day, obviously manual QA engineer may not be the best option. Why? Because people tend to make mistakes if they do repetitive actions. Like humans are the best in sort of like a burst way to find something, right? We have an analytical mind, so we can quickly analyze something, use our potential, and quickly find solution. We are amazing in problem solving or problem detection, but when we are presented with the same task all over and over and over and over again, like do the same action, try to test the same thing like 20 times a day, we lose focus. That's just, we get tired and we lose focus. That's just the way the humans are. So for that task, of course, it may be reasonable to automate the task and let the machine do it. But again, that's kind of like an edge case. That's really not a common scenario. Manual testers, of course, it's amazing because anyone can do manual testing. Literally anyone. Even if you don't have any formal training, I can give you a mobile application to test, and within the next 20, 30 minutes, you'll find some problem with it without having any prior experience, right? So it's easiest way to ensure quality. Of course, when we talk about pros, there are also cons. So automated testing, as I already mentioned, test scripts are written by an automation tester or automation scripter. That means that you need to hire the people who know exactly how to automate. And on top of this automation process, there are 100 different frameworks, 100 different programming languages. So your company works with Python, it means that you need to find someone who works with Python. Second company works with, I don't know, JavaScript. You need to find someone who works, who automates with JavaScript. It creates a lot of different problems on the level of trying to find person to do the job, right? It's not easy. While manual QA, if you know manual QA, if you know the methodology, if you know how to test mobile application, web application, that's it, boom, you're hired. In fact, you don't even need to have training for onboarding. You can literally start working within the week, right, of testing, of hiring. While for automation engineers, onboarding takes, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They need to know the platform, the system, all the different databases, and so on. It's really, really not the fastest way to test. Another thing which is important, automated testing requires manual test cases to be written first, and these are then automated. This is absolutely true. In most of the companies, automation QA engineers do not write their own test cases. They do not really test, as I mentioned earlier. All they do is they take the manual QA test case and move it to code and basically write it into the code. Okay? For manual testers, again, manual QA engineers are people that which means that we may miss certain things, but actually so is the automation. Lower product quality because of residual bugs, well, it depends. If you have good manual QA engineers, your product quality is going to be really, really high. All right, guys. So now that's something that's important. Let's talk about the types of testing. So types of testing, it's sort of like a theory. It's like a ground level of understanding quality assurance methodology and the approach. This is level 1. So let me tell you right away that there are more than 50 different types and subtypes, maybe even more of testing, right? But manual QA engineers mostly perform only few of them. Let's start with the basics. There are 3 main types of testing that currently exist. Black box, white box, and gray box. So I'll read the definitions and then I'll explain exactly what they mean. Black box testing means that the tester examines the functionality of an application without having access to the source code. What it means is you and I and everyone who basically downloads an application, goes to the website and acts as a user, but still can test an application. We're black box testers. We don't know how the application works. We don't know about the code. We don't care about the code. We act as users, right? So that's the black box approach to testing. Now, white box, as you probably figured out by now, white box is the opposite. In white box testing, the tester designs tests based on an analysis of the source code. So white box testers, they have to know programming. White box testers, they have to know code. Usually Those people work closely with automated teams, with software developers. They are not really doing any manual job at all. And then, of course, is the gray box. The gray box, it's pretty straightforward, right? Gray box is a combination of both. So the aim is to search for defects due to an incorrect software architecture or an improper use of an application. So if the person can test application as a user, like through the user interface, but at the same time has access to the source code, for example, they may have access to the database, right? Or they may have access to something else. They understand the code. Technically, that job is called the gray box testing. Okay, so let's move forward. Now, another set of main testing types. As I mentioned, there are lots of them, but these are important. These you need to understand. It's a simple concept, but they're important. Why? Because they may be asked during the interview, and this is something you need to pay attention to and understand, of course. If you don't understand, feel free to ask questions. I will try to explain better. So functional and non-functional testing. Functional testing is, the purpose of functional testing is to verify what the system does. Like we're testing what the system does, like functional part of it, based on the specifications. So we are verifying how compliant it is with specified functional requirements. Example, when we click on, let's say, we have a website and we click on the button. We know that when we click on this button, the system should do something. So that's a functional testing, when we click on the button and see what the system returned. The result of functional testing, it's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like, black and white. It's either pass or fail. So it's either the system does what it's supposed to do, or it doesn't. It's easy to check, it's easy to track, it's easy to catch. Okay? Now let's talk about non-functional testing. So non-functional testing is a testing of a software application for its non-functional requirements. So instead of when we check what the system does, non-functional testing answers the question how well the system does it. So let me give you an example, something more hands-on, right? Let's take a Google search, right? Let's take a Google search. Everyone used here, probably most of you used Google search here, right? So there can be, let's test it from the functional point of view. Let's create a test case. So we need to verify that the Google search, when we provide some input, some query, and then click on the search button, what we expect to see is the list of the search results, right? So from the functional point of view, when we go to the google.com, for example, right? Step number one. Step number two, we provide a query or some form of an input into the search input box. And then we click on the search button, right? Search icon. If we see the list of the results from the functional point of view, the test case passed, right? Because we just tested what the system does or what it's supposed to do. Now, let's take same test case, same list of steps, but check from the non-functional point of view. So when we go in, for example, and we follow the same steps, we go to the google.com, we type in the query, and then we click on the search button. We see the list of search results. But from the non-functional point of view, we need to test how well system performed. For example, how long did it take for Google to return the list of results? Or how many search results did Google return? Or I don't know, how relevant were the results, or how, and so on. But you get the idea, right? Instead of testing what the system does, we can test how well did it perform. So that's the main difference between functional and non-functional testing. Does it make sense, guys? Of course, we'll dive deeper into all this. This is just a very, very high-level overview. And for now, it's going to be enough. We will talk about it later during the lesson too. But this is the concept you just need to understand. Now, the fun part. Remember, I mentioned that there may be more than 50 different subtypes and more than different types of testing, right? But manual key engineers only do or only perform few of them. So these three are the few of them that we perform here and there. There can be a few more here and there, but it doesn't matter. These three, they are most common that likely 80% of manual key engineers do at work, kind of like on daily basis, right? On weekly basis. They don't really do much else. So let's go over these concepts. I will read, one by one, and I'll explain what they mean with the examples. So first one is called exploratory testing. So exploratory testing is an approach to software testing which focuses on discovery, learning, and investigation, and relies on creativity, experience, and intuition of the individual tester to quickly uncover defects, and often described as simultaneous test design and execution. So imagine, guys, you have an application in front of you. The application you never tested, let's see. Or maybe it's a new part of an application that just got built. So without you reading requirements, right? Because requirements can be elaborate, they can be short, they can change. There is no full documentation on how we need to test. So we always manual key engineers always keep something of a creative approach or partially a creative approach or intuitive approach towards testing. When we use an application, think of yourself as an investigators, right? You need to solve a crime by trying to break an application. So first thing you do, you explore the application. You try to understand the main functionality, like which button does what, what is the main flow, what is the main functionality. I'll tell you right away that after 30 minutes of doing the exploratory testing, the chance that you will find bugs, especially for a newly released issue, it's really, really high. You don't even need documentation to look for bugs. Documentation, of course, is important because it outlines the major functions and things we absolutely have to check. But sometimes there are cases that are called edge cases. So edge cases are basically something that is unpredictable, which may be broken, and it was kind of like unforeseen by the developers. So that's where our investigative and creative ability to test, explore, and try to break things come into the play. So that's basically an approach that's called exploratory testing. Without documentation, we go in, we play with an application, we try to break it, we try to explore, we try to analyze, and basically identify if anything is wrong with it. Okay? Next type of testing, it's called smoke testing. Smoke testing covers the most important functionality of a software and verifies that the software appears to work correctly. It precedes actual in-depth testing and aims to verify that the build or the software is deployed successfully and that all components are running and ready for the actual test process. Interesting fact, guys, the term smoke testing. I'll tell you a cool story. Where did it come from? This name came from, I don't know, 70 years ago, when the factories, like the old school factories, like electronics or appliance or any other factories, when they would create like a refrigerator, right, or a toaster, or I don't know, any like an iron or anything, the first thing they would do, right, they would plug it into the wall outlet and turn it on. If they would see a smoke coming out of it, it means the unit didn't pass the check, didn't pass the smoke test, right? That was the first thing companies did. That's why we have this name in software development. So what does it mean? Applying to software, to the software, right? It means literally the same. QA engineer, so usually smoke testing is performed after developers just completed sort of like a code change, right? So there's always a code change. And after the code change, developers usually, they call it a compilation, but they basically push all the code and create a file, a binary file of an application. Like if you use Windows, you can, the exe files, executable files. That's literally an application. It's a collection of a code. Or if you use like any other file, it's basically the piece of a software, right? So when they compiled this newly created piece of a code, we can call it a build, we can call it a version. Instead of like doing an in-depth testing for QA engineers, right? Because in-depth testing takes days, right? We go through our flows. It's not a simple thing. QA engineers created so-called smoke testing. The smoke testing means that we spend, maybe after receiving the build, right, after installing it on our machine, we spend literally 20, 30 minutes. What we do, we check all the main functionalities. Just click on main things, right? To see if something obvious is wrong with it. The reason why we do this is not to, it's not really to test, but the reason for it, because the highest chance of seeing something really, really wrong happening is right after developers basically compiled the code. So during the smoke testing, if something is wrong, if something went wrong, you'll see it right away. You don't have to like, spend hours. You literally have to spend 10 minutes. Usually you'll see the application crash right away, or the screen will be blank, or your phone will catch on fire. So literally the point of it is to quickly understand if something is really wrong, or we can, something is right, we can continue with the rest of the testing. So that's the reason for smoke testing. And why does it exist? Who will perform smoke testing? Manual QA engineers. Again, smoke testing is a quick check of all the main functionalities of an application to verify that nothing obvious is broken, or nothing is obviously smoking, right? Now, let's move to the final and really important step of software development phase of testing. It's called regression testing. So let me read the definition, that will explain what it means. Regression testing ensures that new changes in software do not break any existing functionalities. This type of testing verifies that the features that used to work still work. So imagine you're working for, I don't know, Instagram, right? Instagram application. And 2 months ago, when you tested, you had, let's say, a feature of leaving comments on under the photos, right? So you tested it 3 months ago, it was working. Then you tested it 2 months ago, it was working. And then today, finally, you tested. For some reason, it doesn't work. It's broken. Something about this part of an application is broken. So that will constitute a regression bug. Why regression? Because it used to work, right? We know it used to work, but now it doesn't, which means it's a regression issue. Why did it happen? Likely because during the change of a code, or maybe a bug fixing or changing of something additional in the application structure, they accidentally broke it, right? So hence, we have a thing we call regression bug, and they're really, really common. It happens all the time. So regression bug is a defect which did not exist in an earlier version of a product. If it exists, we file it and we proceed. With the bug fixing and bug verification. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. I know it's a lot, and feel free to ask any questions. I know it's a lot, but it's not complicated, as you can see, and it's really easy to learn, and we will make sure that we will elaborate on all other types of testing as soon as possible. Thank
Yuri,
you.
I think we have questions for you. I saw a question about who is doing the smoke testing. Is it the QA tester or the QA lead?
QA testers, usually QA testers perform smoke testing. It actually doesn't matter, guys. It's not important. It's pretty straightforward check. It only takes 20-30 minutes. Anyone can do it.
What the question was, what is a QA environment?
QA environment can mean few things. We will cover it during the course, but usually QA environment stands for the system we test or system we use for testing. For example, let's say you can have a mobile application, and mobile application can work on 10 different devices. So your QA environment may mean this particular brand of a phone or this particular operating system of a phone. So QA environment basically means an environment QA engineers work to test or to perform certain types of testing. That's it. It can be many different things.
Technical background, computer science degree before you went into QA, and how long it takes to get a job.
Okay, awesome. Yes. So I did not have a degree in computer science. I still don't. I do not have any certification in computer science. I do not have any QA certification. I do not have any other education except for what I got at college. That was design. So my degree was in design. So it was mostly in art department rather than the technical.
I will answer your questions. I see a lot of questions. Just bear with me. Give me time to answer it. And when I'm done with the questions, if you're still going to have questions, I would love to answer the rest. Okay? All right. So let me answer those. Max, please tell me honestly, is there an age limit to get a job? Realistically, it's interesting and seems not complicated. Basically what I do sometimes at work, but I don't want to waste the money and time if it's not possible to get a job after the course. Great question, Yelena. So the recommended age, and again, I want to make sure that you understand, we are not ageist. We just explain you the recommended age, and then I will explain you the also exceptions. So the recommended age is probably between 20 to 50. But saying that, you're always going to have exceptions. We had a graduate, already a few graduates that were 19 years old who got 70, 80K. We had graduates who are 55 and 60 years old who got around $85,000 just recently in Atlanta, Georgia, in New Jersey. So the recommended age is 20 to 50. But if your English is okay, if you you're following instructions, if you know how to use your laptop, if you know how to use your phone, it doesn't matter. As long as you feel confident, as long that you follow the instructions, you prepare well, you follow the instructions on the resume, on the LinkedIn, to make sure to remove the unnecessary experience, or maybe even not showing your education. For example, if you show that you graduated the school in 1977 or 1995 or 2004, many companies will not even talk to you. But if you don't show it, they will. And eventually, if they like you, they will hire you. It doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, or sometimes 60. So as long as you learn, follow instructions, confident, prepare well, you will get the job. Even if many companies will prefer someone who's between 25 to 30, it doesn't matter, because you will have many other companies that will like you, that like diversity. They want people of different nationalities, different age groups, so you'll get the job as well. If you're over 50, it might take you a little bit longer. Maybe for under 50, it will take 1 to 3 months. Over 50, it will take 4, maybe a little bit more, but you will be able to get the job anyway if you're just following the instructions. If you're 85 years old, I'm not sure that that's the best program for you, just because many companies will think that you will not culturally fit. But if you're in the range that I mentioned before, you'll be fine. Okay? Awesome. By the way, guys, if you have personal questions that are very personal to you, you can email advisors@careerist.com. Okay? Awesome. Will I be able to secure a job purely work from home? As I mentioned before, many jobs are remote. So some jobs going to offer you remote jobs, some jobs going to offer you on-site. In case you want just remote, you just tell those that offer you on-site, sorry, have a good one, and focus on the remote. You will get the remote. Which languages are usable in automation frameworks in companies? So today's course is about manual testing, not automation. But if you're asking about automation, it could be Python, it could be JavaScript, it could be Java, it could be many different programming languages. In manual testing, you definitely don't need any programming languages. Will being bilingual help me land the job? Some companies will do localization testing, which is using different languages to see that everything looks and was translated well. So basically, in this case, it will. Will my master in management will help to land the job? I don't think so. I think that if you are a high school graduate, you're still going to get the job. QA manual certification. Guys, you don't need any certification in QA in the United States. You might need it in Africa, you might need it in Belarus, you might need it in Australia, maybe UK, but in the US, you don't need any certificates. You will always have companies that will try to sell you certificates, but it's going to be a waste of your time and a waste of your effort, because nobody's going to ask you for any certificates. Of course, after graduating our program, you will get certificate of completion. But guys, certificates, you can send to your parents. Nobody needs them. In US, I guarantee you that. 99.99% of the companies will never ask you any certificates. I don't know anyone who was asked to show any certificate in QA. None of our instructors or teachers ever had any certification in QA. Don't need any certificates in QA, guys. Which organization can we work for during the internship? So we have different companies that we have internships with. We definitely sign NDA with those companies, so we don't allow to reveal the names of the companies to people that are not part of the internship. But I can share with you example of our previous internship that we had before that we no longer have with a company that is fine sharing that. For example, this company that I shared with you in the chat. It's one of the internships that we had, and our graduates were testing this application. Now, let's see what else. Can I get a job without work permit in New York? So I'm not an immigration lawyer. As far as I know, you need to have a work authorization. During the internship, you will have a project for mobile testing and a project for web testing. And again, guys, I want to explain you something. This job, there is no problem doing the job. As you saw what we do at work, there is no problem doing the job. The problem is getting the job. The problem is getting your maximum possible rate and minimum possible time without wasting your time, without wasting your effort, getting yourself 70 to 100K instead of 40, 50K, 60K. We teach you how to make 70 to 100K, 35 to 50 per hour in just few months without wasting years. That's why we are here for. Don't worry about doing the job. It's going to be very simple. 85% of what you're going to learn during the course, you will never need at work. It's just to pass the interview and get the job. To do the job, there is no problem doing the job. Most of you can learn this job in few days or sometimes in few hours. The problem is get the job. We are always trying to be very transparent. That's why I'm telling you that. It's very simple, guys. Very straightforward. Nothing to worry about doing the job. The problem is only getting the job, and we definitely know how to help you get it. And also, I want to remind everyone that below you have the get contract and invoice button, and that you can just click, choose the option that works best for you, so our career advisors can get back to you and answer your questions and help you choose the option that works best for you. What percentage of the graduates get the job? Guys, it's very simple. Those that follow the instructions. And when I say instructions, what do I mean? I mean watching the lessons, doing the homework and quizzes, which are going to be very simple, very straightforward, will not take more than 15 minutes, just to make sure that you watch the lesson. Join the internship. Do it for at least minimum 2 weeks, at least for 2 hours a day. You can choose the time, the days that work best for you. Be in touch with your mentor to make sure that you prepared well, that you're following instructions, that you sound good, that your resume and LinkedIn looks fine, and that you join the job application services, or you started applying to jobs if you wish by yourself, or you combine both. That's what I mean by saying following instructions. Those that do that will get the job in between 1 to 4 months. 95% of those will get the job. The 5% that will not, they have usually problems with visa, problems with English, or very serious problem with soft skills. For example, they start to cry during the interview or stuff like that. It's something that we cannot control, unfortunately, but those that gonna be just following the instructions, gonna be preparing according to what you told, being in touch with the mentor, of course, being nice and friendly, they will definitely get this job in 1 to 4 months. Those that are not following the instructions, it will not take them 4 months or 3 months or 2 months. It might take them much longer, up to never. But if you want to get the job, just follow the instructions, and you will witness that it's the best investment that you did. If we do the ISA payment, how long is the window for us to try automation? Whenever you want, okay? It's going to wait for you. How can one get such high salary in manual testing? Who told you it's a high salary? 70 to 100K, it's not considered high salary in the IT world. It's probably the lowest salaries in the IT world, okay? So 35 to 50 per hour, it's not high salaries in the IT. Now, in most of the country, it's going to be 70 to 80K, 35 to 40 per hour. But the big cities that I mentioned, like New York, New Jersey, Chicago, Seattle, San Jose, San Francisco, LA, you can make up to 50 per hour, up to 100K. We just had a graduate like a few days ago who got 85K junior position at Apple just a few days ago. Before him, a few days before, we had a guy with 2 months of experience in the resume with the 47 per hour job, which is $94,000. So why companies are paying that money? We never asked them this question, but that's not new. It's something that is around for the past 20 years. Okay? It's been around. People are getting paid 75 to 100K for doing the job that we just showed you. What is the work schedule? It's usually 10 to 6 or 9 to 5. In many cases, when you finish your tasks in 3, 4, 5 hours, you just get paid for 8. And it happens a lot. Cool. Again, if you want to see more testimonials, you can go and watch the success stories that I shared with you in the chat. And as well, when you graduate the program, I guarantee you that you will have access to dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of success stories that we just have pretty much every day. And you will see much, much more of that. And of course, you will be able to communicate with the students in our graduates community and to witness that that's worse. And you just need to follow instructions. How flexible is the work schedule? I'm a mother of a 3-year-old girl. So actually, that's one of the favorite jobs of mothers because you can work remotely. And the schedule is very flexible. You just need to finish your tasks and nobody really cares in most cases about the hours. Certificate will work in US and Canada. Well, I said already that nobody going to ask you for certificates in the United States for sure. And by the way, in Canada, we just had a graduate last week who got a job in Canada, which is awesome. First time outside of US. Let's see. How does the testing for a mobile application work? Does it get tested? Does it get tested on mobile or web or laptop? Whoa. So testing mobile application is very similar to testing a web application. It's very similar to testing anything because you test everything with exactly the same approach. You make sure everything works well, and then you make sure everything looks well. It doesn't matter. It's mobile, it's web, it's Siri, it's devices. Doesn't matter what it is, and we're definitely going to show you and instruct you how to do that. Now, web testing, website could be tested both on desktop or laptop or on your phone, right? When you go to a browser on your phone, it's web testing as well. Whenever you click and go to the application that is installed on your phone, this is testing mobile apps. All right. It depends on the company, or most of the company use Jira. So most of the company use Jira, and if they don't use Jira, they use something very similar, just worse. So once you know Jira, you're good. You don't need to know all of the others. You just don't need to know Jira. And if your company going to do something, going to use something very similar to that, they're just going to show you, and you will adjust to that. It's going to be very, very similar and simple. Should we stay alive at work? Yeah, preferably. Don't die during work. I really wish that. I mean, use Zoom or just stay online during the job. You don't need to be live with the camera. That's weird. That's strange. Just be online, okay? Awesome. Let's see. Do you teach any tools? Yeah, of course. You're gonna use Jira for bug reporting, TestRail for test cases. You're gonna learn Chrome Dev Tools, API testing, ADB commands, Linux commands, SQL basics, browser stack, Chrome Dev Tools, and much, much more. You can see more about the topics in the syllabus that we shared with you. And of course, we know better than you what you need. That's why we focus and teach you what you need. And what you don't need, we don't teach you because we don't want to waste your time and to waste your effort. So there more demand for automation testing than manual. So guys, as I mentioned before, 80% of the positions are going to ask in the job description for automation, for programming, and many other things. But 65% out of those eventually will hire manual QA like you. How we know that? Because every day we have graduates getting jobs, and you will witness that very soon. Let's see. Have there been alumni who has had to wait longer to land the job? Yeah, of course. Someone who was not following the instructions, he had to wait much longer. So just follow instructions and you will not need to wait much longer. If someone already finished manual QA, but they don't have job experience, then is there any other option available for them, or they have to go through the course? So if you read about manual QA, it doesn't mean anything, because to learn how to do the job in manual testing, you can do it in 2 hours or 2 days. It's not a problem doing the job. The problem is passing the interview and getting the job. Now, the reason you didn't get the job because you don't know how to do that. And we are here to help you with that. So you definitely need to take the course, because we're going to prepare you for the interview. We're going to help you with the resume, with the LinkedIn, with the experience, with the internship, with, most important, preparation for the interview, to not only know the answers, but also sound confident. Cool. It's a long question. Let me read it. You have explained what you need to get the job, but what could disqualify for no pay until you get the job strategy? For example, political party, religious group, responsible photo from your teenage years, social media. I ask because employers sometimes use this to choose who to hire, but we need to know how this will affect eligibility for the above payment. Okay, so basically, if you put on your LinkedIn a political party, and for example, it's going to be Democratic or Republican, and the manager that's going to potentially hire you is a Democrat or a Republican, he might not like you. He might not hire you. Okay? So don't put anything religious or political on your LinkedIn. But again, if you're just going to follow the instructions and you're going to do the resume and LinkedIn according to our instructions, you will not have those problems. Also, in case that certain company going to find your article from your past where you did something stupid or crazy, they will not hire you. But do you really think everyone's going to check that? No, of course. That's why some companies will notice that. Some companies will not notice that. This is a game of numbers. We're going to help you to apply for multiple jobs, to be very well prepared for the interviews. So eventually, after 2-3 months, you get at least 4 to 10 interviews and at least 1 job offer. Okay? So don't worry about 1 company or 2 companies or 3 companies or 4 companies. Follow the instructions and you will see that you will definitely get the job, and someone will definitely going to like you if you just prepare and follow instructions. Cool. What happened if we pay ISA, income share agreement, and after 6 months of getting pay, we leave the company? That's fine. You just stop paying until you get your next job. How many months does the automatic job application continue if you don't get a job within the 4 months? You will not need it for more than 4 months if you're following the instructions, because you will get the interviews and you will get the job. So just follow the instructions and you will not get into those situations. Okay? And of course, answer your phone calls and be prepared for the interview. Because if you're not going to be following the instructions, why would we apply for you? Why would we do the job applications? We need to make sure that you're following instructions, that you prepare for the interview, and then, of course, we will help you with applying for jobs, and you will not need more than 4 months to get it. If you will need it, we will, make something extra and apply more, but you will not, because if you just follow the instructions, you will get it in 2-3 months, sometimes 4. Do all companies have their own format of creating bug reports, or are mostly the same? It's mostly the same. Some doing, some differences in the way they write the title, the way they write the description, but it's so minor, so you should not care about it. What's the difference between QA and UX? So quality assurance is to make sure that everything looks and works good. Now, UX is user experience, that things also feel good, and we also test it sometimes as well. For example, when you have a form that you need to submit on the website, right, or a contact us page or something, you just submit a form, you send it. If you didn't receive a confirmation message like your form was successfully sent, it will be a user experience issue. Okay, so we also use test not only UI but UX as well in some cases. Very rare, by the way, but sometimes we do. Is this manual? Do you teach any tools like SQL? Yes, this is manual, and we teach SQL as well. By the way, SQL and API, we're going to teach you during the course, but 95% of you will never need it at work. But in 30% of the interviews, they might ask you some basic questions about it. That's why you definitely got to be prepared to answer those, and we're going to teach you that. Will you look for a permanent as well as contract job? So guys, according to the statistics that we see right now, 60% of our graduates getting contract jobs, 40% getting full-time jobs. It means that you can get both. As long as they pay 35 to 50 per hour contract or 70 to 100K full-time, just take it. For example, you take the contract, 35 to 50 per hour. After you got it, the next week or the next month, you will continue the job search, now asking more money, more benefits, and, for example, just full-time opportunities. Okay? You got the idea, right? What companies your graduates work at? Well, that's a great question. I can name a few: Google, Facebook, Intel, Apple, Verizon, AT&T, Walt Disney, Salesforce, Dell, Boeing. I can continue for a very long time, okay? Every pretty much big company, Amazon, any Snap, Pornhub. Trust me, pretty much every big company you ever heard about, we have graduates working there. The article from Forbes was from 2014. You're right. Actually, the 9 reasons why manual testing will always be in demand is from 2020 or 21. The happiest jobs was from 2014. That's when I got into the QA world. I think it was actually from 2013, but it doesn't matter. It didn't change. It's still one of the happiest jobs in the US. And our graduates definitely are witnessing that. By the way, since 2013, the salary of QA engineers and QA testers just grew, okay? So the average was 65, 70K, now it's around 100K. Why would company hire manual QA engineer versus automation? Well, because QA engineer takes 35, 50 per hour and automation takes 110, 55 to 85 per hour, because manual are getting 70 to 100K and automation getting 110 to 170K. That's the difference first. And second, many things you cannot automate. In many cases, you just do, you just need to test it manually. Okay, and please read the article that I mentioned before about 9 reasons manual testing will always be in demand from, let's see, 2020. I will share it with you one more time, just in case that you missed it for some reason. All right, let's see. Do you hire people with F1 visa? No. As I said before, just green card, citizenship, or work authorization that allows you to work anywhere, anytime, without limitations and without sponsorship. Awesome. Guys, in case that you have a personal question or you forgot to ask it, you always can email advisors@careerist.com. I see that most of you already clicked the get contract and invoice button. If you still didn't, you have last chance doing that. It's below. Let me see if I missed someone's question. Let's see. If we get a contract job first and we want full-time, but we accept the offer for the contract, do you still help look for the full-time? So we help you with the job search for your first job to get the job. Once you got the job and you make 70 to 100K and you're happy, that's when you can continue the job search, but you no longer need our job application service. If you don't have time to apply and you still want to use it, we would offer you that service for a certain amount. Which amount, you can always email and ask advisors@careers.com. I don't truly remember the exact amount because most people are just applying by themselves after getting the job. We care to get you your first job first, but if you're gonna need this service for more, we would love to offer you that. Okay, cool. Will I get notification after paying? Probably you should get it, but if you don't, you can always email advisors@careers.com and check your status. Okay, awesome. After finishing the course, what will we call ourselves? QA analyst or QA engineers? You will call yourself software QA engineers. And you know what? You can call yourself different names, but software QA engineer sounds better, and usually it's even getting paid more. But same kind of job as QA tester, QA analyst, and stuff like that. How to get the recording of the lesson? You will get it to your email. In case you don't find it in a few hours, you can always double check your spam or promotions folders. What about job experience in the resume? You will get the experience in the resume after you graduate the program, joining the internship, and you will have the experience growing every month of your job search, because you'll be part of the internship until you get hired. Any materials to look into? Just watch the lessons. No need to write anything. Just listen carefully, watch the lessons. Till the end of the course, everything will become much more clear. What about homework? Yeah, you're going to have homework from time to time. It's not going to be complicated and not time consuming, usually 15 questions. Did I miss anyone's questions, guys? Please write it down. I just read the questions that were marked as questions, but in case I missed anyone, please write it down. I would love to answer. Okay? And of course, if for some reason you forgot to ask something or you have something personal, you can email advisors@careerist.com. If we got with the upfront, do you provide guarantee for a job? Guys, if you just follow the instructions, you will get the job. I cannot guarantee you a job if you're not following the instructions. Last day to get contract or invoice. Well, till tomorrow noon, you still can join. So the get contract and invoice button is below. Awesome. Great. And I believe that I showed you the hours and the time, but just in case, I will show it one more time. It's 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. Sunday to Thursday, 2 hours lessons. At the end, we always answer the questions. Sometimes during the lesson, we answer the questions if they are relevant. Cool. I work night shifts. Great. You can watch the video recording. And our next lesson is tomorrow. Awesome. I work in finance more than 2 years, but I want to change it now. Great. You're in the right place. Do you think it will be easy to be without any experience? Yes. Even if you're a medical clown, you will be able to get medical care job easy if you follow instructions. How does internship work? Well, I explained it, and just watch the video one more time, okay? Because I explained it. You do manual testing, web testing, mobile testing, work in a team, work with the manager, you use different platforms, devices, tools, and you become much more confident answering about what you do at work, about your responsibilities, about your team, about your project, and stuff like that. Cool. Are we going to repeat same session for next Sunday, starters? I'm not sure what you're asking. If you're asking about first lesson of the next course, yes, the first lesson is going to be very similar to that. What is one-on-one mentoring like? It's a mentor that works with you one-on-one. He calls you after you graduate the program, and he is making sure, or she is making sure, that you're following the instructions, that you know the material, that you prepare for the interview. Once we make sure that, they help you with the resume, with the LinkedIn, with the instructions, with the support, with the job application services, and you until you get the job. They just work with you one-on-one. Awesome. Great. In case you want to, in case you're going to have any more questions, please feel free to email advisors@careerist.com. I don't want to keep you too late. We would love to answer all of your questions. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye-bye, guys.